and welcome to Organic Gardening with Trinity Dennis. I am Trinity Dennis. The other day I went to the grocery store and I came across this beauty Venus flytrap. And there's not only a couple of them in there, there's a whole bunch of them in there. So today I'm going to show y'all how to build a terrarium for a carnivorous plant. First off, you need to get your supplies. We need to have some sort of a terrarium, which is going to be a clear bowl or jar or actual terrarium that you can get at the store. We're going to need some moss. I'm going to put some Spanish moss in here as well. We're going to need some rocks and some sand. Now I'm going to use these really pretty white river rocks, but I've also got some marbles and some other rocks that I'm going to dig out to put in here as well. And finally, we're going to need our carnivorous plant. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start adding our layers. Now, carnivorous plants need a lot of drainage for one thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer of sand. Now you can get sand at a Lowe's or a Home Depot or at a craft store, maybe a Hobby Lobby or something like this. Pretty much anywhere you can get terrarium sand. I got my terrarium sand at Walmart, so you can do it there too. So I'm going to put a layer of sand in the bottom, probably about an inch. Okay, and then on top of that, I'm going to add these really pretty white river rocks. Now between the sand and the river rocks, we're going to have a lot of really good drainage for our plants. So let's put a layer of this in here. Yeah, nice. Now I also came across some of my marbles and some of my fun rocks that I've collected over the years. So I'm going to go ahead and put a nice little layer of that in here as well. These are going to make the terrarium look really pretty when you look at it. And also, it's going to provide that drainage that we talked about that our carnivorous plants need. I'm going to put a nice layer of this in there. Okay, that looks good. Now, the next part is we're going to put in some Spanish moss. Now, carnivorous plants don't like regular soil. They don't like any kind of nutrients. So you've got to use a no nutrient type of soil, and the type of soil that they like is moss. So the first layer I'm going to put in here is a Spanish moss. Now this is going to give it plenty of things to hold on to, for the roots to hold on to, and to get support from for our little plants. So then we're going to put that in there and put a nice, I've got about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches in here. Okay, and finally, before we put our plant in, we're going to put just a little bit of our flat sheet moss. Now once we water this, it's going to start growing. It's going to help our little environment. It's going to help retain nourishment, retain water, and all that. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of this around the very edges. Okay, so now we have our sand, we have our rocks, we have our Spanish moss, and we have our flat sheet moss that's going to go on the very top of our layering. I'm going to take the Venus flytrap very, very gently out of the little container that it came in. I'm going to be careful not to touch the roots and try not to touch any of the little fly traps. Okay? Now I've made while I was putting in the moss, I made a little hole in the middle here. So then I can just very gently put the fly trap in the middle. And then I can come back and secure it with some more of my sheet moss. Put that in there really nice and tight for it. There. Now some people opt to have a lid on it, a clear lid, so they keep the terrarium thing going. But I decided not to, because I would like my carnivorous plants to go ahead and capture their own insects rather than me having to feed them. So now we've got our terrarium, our do-it-yourself terrarium. You know how to do this now. You've got your sand and your rocks, and you've also got your moss, and then you've got your sheet moss on top. You've got your plant in there. You're going to water it and keep it really nice and watered. We're going to have nice drainage, and it's going to be able to capture its own insects. Follow me for more gardening tips, and I'll see you next time.